you can't always believe everything you hear, even if somebody has all these titles and all these degrees and they're the best doctor. You have to really kind of follow your intuition and do your own research as well too, and also just be your number one advocate for your own health.
Yes, absolutely. And when you look into most of these mega influencers, you can see the patterns. You can see the big voices on health. They might have the biggest followers, like we say, but what they do not have is the actual face-to-face client experience. Longevity isn't luck, folks. It's a lifestyle built on awareness, habits, culture, and intention. So welcome to the Age with Intention podcast, where we explore how people around the world live longer, stronger, think clearer, and age with purpose. So today's episode is going to challenge some sacred cows in the health and wellness industry. Some people are going to get a little upset, but hey, we're here to talk and make people critical thinkers. So here we go. We're going to dive into the growing health crisis, which are real, right? And why people have more access to information than ever before, yet they seem more confused. Actually, to me, it seems like they're more confused than ever before. And this is probably because of marketing, the tactics, everything in the real world that's, I guess, is getting overcomplicated, right? So we're going to talk about that. Now, most people today are drowning with health information, right? Yet they're getting sicker every year. And we see the numbers just going up and up on the scale. So we have more supplements. We have more experts. We have more influencers, that's for sure. And we have more technology than any generation before us. Yet we have the obesity problem. We have the diabetes problem. We have metabolic disease. That's very big. Anxiety everywhere, mental illness, chronic illness, you name it. Okay, so this isn't going to be a conversation about hype. It's a conversation about transparency, critical thinking, as I mentioned, taking ownership of your health. This is what we want, right? And today's guest is one of those who's working in the trenches. He's actually working with people, balancing face-to-face clients with online coaching as well. So he sees the real struggles. He sees the real results. That's what gives him a perspective, I guess, that most of us that are online full-time, we don't have that. So that's why I'm going to bring in my friend Justin. Justin, welcome here to the Age with Intention podcast.
Thanks, Art. Yeah, how you doing? I'm really thankful to be here and super excited to get around a lot of that misinformation that's out there and hopefully give all your listeners some great knowledge and some great insight.
Yes, thank you. And for those that don't know you, I happen to know you because we work together at one of the big brands, and I won't say names, but it's one of the big brands, the luxury brand, and we've seen it all with clients one-on-ones. It's a beautiful thing, but there's a lot of confusion even within our industry, right? So what I want to first start is I want people to know you. So tell us your story. How did you get into fitness, nutrition, now health coaching as well, and what experiences shaped your view of health today?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I had the honor of working with you, Art, so I really enjoyed our time, and I think right out the gate, we kind of aligned on a lot of different things and saw a little similarities in the way we approach client outcomes and just our overall health, right? So for me, I grew up playing sports. So I went to school in Boston for 2 years and I played basketball. And then after that, I finished my education in Pepperdine in Malibu, and I finished with an exercise science degree. So I chose a degree that was really just kind of an easy transition from what I was doing and, maybe work with athletes, maybe work with general population. And then out of that degree, I worked for a gym, a big gym, Equinox, and I work with them in LA and West Hollywood. And I really got to start to see the different type of clients that I would work with. Some that were looking for aesthetics, some that were looking for, physical health transformations, and some that just wanted to be pain-free, right? A lot of injuries and issues that they were working with. And I've been training, on and off in different sectors for over the last 12 years. So I've built a lot of different case studies, as you can imagine, in those 12 years of all different type of clients, right? Working with all different type of ailments, health issues, a lot of clients coming to me with frustrations that their medical providers are just putting them on more and more medication and really not seeing change in their physical health, right? So for me, this has become a passion 12 years ago that I'm continually, always, every day trying to educate myself and just become the best advocate and resource I can for my clients. And what really kind of drive me over into health coaching was shortly after COVID, when I saw a lot of people's health just really decline with a lot of the virus, and them kind of getting affected based off their metabolic status, right? And being really unhealthy, and having a lot of misinformation there about what is good, what isn't. And I think you and I both know that what the real best outcomes were for the people that got the virus were the ones that were the most metabolically healthy.
Exactly.
The ones that were less fat, they didn't have as much body fat, they didn't have as much visceral fat, they had lower levels of inflammation. They were just generally more physically active and more conscious of the things they put in their body. And unfortunately, a lot of those that weren't had issues and still do deal with things like long COVID and some other issues that they're working with. So for me, I started looking at that as, how can I work with clients that maybe didn't want to first come in to like work on creating bigger biceps or growing their legs, but really to want to work on what is metabolic syndrome and how can they work on improving their overall health and increasing their overall longevity. And I know that's something that you really are, a proponent of too. So that's kind of what moved me into this sector, where I still train clients one-on-one in person, but I still also work with clients online. And I just really try to bring the bridge together of the fitness side and the health side, and really make sure that you can't have one without the other, because they together really work on a positive impact to help you increase your overall health span. And that's something that I'm truly passionate about.
I'll have to ask you, now that you have quite a few years under your belt, what have those years working directly with clients taught you that, for example, certifications never could? Because there's a lot of certs out there, you and I know.
Yeah, I mean, the certs are great. Obviously, you need a certain amount of certs to kind of create the credibility, and obviously to be able to get some jobs at some bigger boxes. But really, you learn the most, in person in the practical setting. I mean, you can have the best training cert, but until you get in there and work with clients that, are post ACL rehab and they're coming in and they want to work on stability and rehab. I can have 3 different clients with the same injury, but I have to modify maybe 3 different times because each client's different with what they're working on. So until I get in the trenches with them, until I go in there and maybe regress movements, ask them feedback, see how they're feeling with certain things. Maybe I have to warm up a client, certainly. Maybe I have to work on some sort of client's fascia tightness to really help them increase mobility and range of motion. Whereas another client is just maybe more of a mental side of things. They're babying it too much because they're too much in their head. And then when they kind of let that go and they kind of subside some of that anxiety, they can actually show themselves they can do that exercise. So you have to be able to get in there. But the one thing I've learned from being a trainer is to be open-minded and to also learn from your peers, right? Because we all start somewhere and we all have tons of experience, but we can always learn something from someone else based off everyone's experience. You can come into the gym and think you know everything, but get a client that you've never worked with, but someone next to you that's, a colleague of yours maybe has worked with that client 10 times before, that same situation, that same case study, and they can really give you some good information. But for me personally, Art, I've always gone through and kind of researched on my own and kind of went above and beyond to make sure that I give the best to my clients. Because I'm just very passionate about that. I want to make sure they get the best outcome. And in turn, it affects my business. If I'm able to get my clients the best outcome, they're going to tell people, those people are going to tell other people, and it just kind of helps establish my name in the industry.
Yeah, that's the one thing about the one-on-one coaching. It's really a lot of word of mouth. You're not paying for ads like social media ads online, like the big influencers, the mega influencers. You're really relying on results. And that's what I like about when you do one-on-ones. I used to do it a lot before social media ever existed. That was our bread and butter right there. Our clients, the referrals, right? Our raving fans that we call it, right? And if you're not doing it right, you're not going out there and really sitting down with an individual. And I have to say, that's the difference between all these generalized protocols online that people buy. They're generalized. The person doesn't even know you, and you're putting all your marbles into that person's protocol. And there's nothing like really getting to talk to someone. That's why, of course, there is a lot of good coaches out there online. They will actually take a call. They will first do a strategy call, which is rare now, with the client, so you get to know them. And even then, you still need more, right? You're going to get to learn the person as you go. Like you say, you just explained 2 clients right there. Same injury, totally different results because of like body, mind, and their spirit. Where are they? And you only get to know that by asking the questions and really sitting there and listening to them. And that's what you do very well. So that's one of your key things that you'll have to keep in mind when you start doing more online, because unfortunately we're going to start doing more online, and
Right.
you can't lose that. Right. So that's why I was going to ask you, what is your philosophy on now with the health coaching? Because you do the fitness, but now with the health coaching, what's your philosophy, and why do you think we're continuing to move in the wrong direction despite having more information than ever before?
Yeah, I mean, for me, on the health coaching side, I start everything with the goal setting session. I get on a call and I really just want to know first and foremost, like, what that person's intention is. What are they looking for? Where do they need the most support? And then what's their why? And when they come to me and they give me that why, maybe it's, they want to be able to feel good when they're playing with their grandkids and be pain free, or maybe they want to stop taking blood pressure medications and look at some alternative ways to bring that down with just simply healthy eating, or maybe meditation, or grounding themselves. And simple things like that have a lot more effect personally than I think medication does, because we're really able to target the nervous system. And as you know, if you're in a state of fight or flight or in a sympathetic nervous system, that also increases blood pressure. So I think getting the people to be more cognizant of their mind and how much their mind has effect to their physical health is number one. And then number two, it's just really about, follow up and, being intention based and making sure that they can reach me. I usually do weekly calls and kind of get up and make sure that they have all their resources. And then I check back in with them in a week and make sure they see, okay, how did we do last week? What were some wins? What are our goals moving forward? And what are some things they feel like they need from me before I let them go off that call to make sure they're successful during this week? So it's not so much hand holding, it's more so being a supportive figure for them. And I feel like with a lot of online coaches, especially mega influence that you see online, whether it be fitness programs or health coaching, you nailed it, Art. It's like, it's a one size fits all program. And as you know, like, you have to idealize each program. It has to be individual. You and I are two different people. If we have the same program, it's not going to work for us. We have to make sure that it's individualized and customized. And that's something I carry over. And if that means I have less clients, that's totally fine. But I'd rather have a better outcome for my clients than having 1,000 clients.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why the sustainability is not there with those programs. And that's why I think we continue to see everyone moving, like I said, towards that wrong direction of health. We're getting more chronic disease. It's exploding still, and people are desperate. So what we want to do is make sure that people find, I guess, simple solutions. Nothing's easy. I'm not saying it's easy, right? But simpler solutions, and that's going to take the health and wellness industry to change, because from what I've noticed, a lot of us are falling into, I'm not going to include myself, I'm not, you're not, but they're falling into this reductionist system that we have in the medical system. So all of a sudden, you guys are now all of a sudden doing the same generalized, compartmentalizing programs that the medical system does. So you're falling into the trap. I don't know if it's intentional. Some people get paid for it, right, and others are just going with the trends, right? So I know that in America, there's generations right now, millennials and Gen Zs. I'm not gonna say everyone, but they're getting bamboozled. Okay, getting tricked into following these fake protocols, these trends that are very concerning. So what are you seeing firsthand in your clients, actually, that you get to see one-on-one? What are they following? What are the trends they tend to fall into?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's kind of guilty of it, because with social media, it's really what gets that wow factor, or gets that clicks, or gets more likes on their page, right? But we know that that's not at all times going to be the thing that's going to get you the results. So I have clients that come to me all the time and they're like, hey, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? And I 9 times out of 10 tell them, like, it's more fluff than good. Like, it's just mostly going to get you more eyeballs than actually get you sustainable results. Because when I'm looking at making sure you get sustainable results and preventing injuries. And then, like you mentioned, you have a lot of these influencers that just post things because there's trendiness to it, or they try to sell a supplement or certain things just to get money with the wrong intentions. And so for me, I've been able to kind of, because I've trained clients online, really focus on being intentional about getting the best outcomes, getting the best results, and really just help them optimize their overall health. That's my number one mission, is optimization of their overall health. and to increase their overall longevity. So if I'm having them do trendy things and it's really not going to be long lasting, what's the point of that?
Yeah. Yeah. And that really helps a lot. Like I said, again, you keep pointing that you actually do have conversations even with your online customers, clients. And that's because you're used to it. Through the fitness industry, that you're used to that. I'm not going to train anyone until I have a conversation and get to know them. I'm going to go through my questionnaires and before I even put them on the floor. And that should be the same for the holistic health approach. As far as giving them a protocol of some sort, you need to make sure first you're really evaluating, assessing, right? Giving them that awareness, and both of you getting to know the person's bio-individuality before throwing them out into the
Yeah.
to the trends, because there's a lot of conflicting information. We know who's benefiting when consumers stay confused. We know the big red flags, but people still don't see it. And I get it. There's just so much information and it's easy to fall into it. And then all of a sudden you're outsourcing not only to again, you're not outsourcing only to the medical industry, but you're also outsourcing to companies or brands or influencers that really don't know what they're doing. You're getting worse. You're getting poisoned even more because either you're getting supplements that are not really healthy, fillers and all kinds of stuff in there, and you're not doing the protocol in the right layers
Yeah.
because there's layers to this. So let me ask you, does it seem like every week there's a new miracle solution that's introduced either through the mega influencers or big companies?
I think it's all monetary driven. It's all money. It's nothing new. This has been going on for decades and decades and decades. Whether it's big pharma or big food, there's always an agenda to be pushed, right? And now it's just a different agenda, so it's a different product. I always just think it's the same. My philosophy, no matter what it is if you're going to get a supplement, make sure you understand the company that you're buying it from. Do some research, see where they source their ingredients, see if it's third partied, what certifications, regulations do they go for. Make sure that the supplement is pure, it's clean, there's no added fillers. Make sure that the actual amount on the label is in the product. You and I both know, especially buying supplements on Amazon, there's been a lot of individual testing done from different companies and people that will buy products on Amazon. And what they say, the claims are it's on the product is a lot of times not the case. So I don't get any of my clients to buy products on Amazon. I have them buy directly through the manufacturer. I have them, if they're going to be buying supplements at certain places, then I have trusted places they can buy those supplements from. But I'm very stringent on what supplements they should buy because there's so much out there. And if you're not educated and you don't know what you're doing, you could be misled and you can actually do your body a lot of harm.
Yeah, absolutely. And most of the best-selling supplements on Amazon, where they say, what is it, Amazon favorites or Amazon choice,
Right.
those supplement companies are paying Amazon to be on top, people.
Yeah.
You got to understand, it's not because they are
The best,
Amazon's favorite and Amazon's actually taking them and saying, hey, these are my favorite. You should take them too.
Yeah.
These are things you're putting in your mouth, you're putting on your skin, and you're absorbing this stuff, and it's not being advertised for your best health. It's for profit. So yes, like you said, Justin, you just said it. Go directly into the website of these companies, and then also this is why you follow the right people, right? You build a team. I always say build a team of coaches in the integrated health system. There's a lot of holistic coaches with different branches, and you can follow them. And then once you see the vetted products that they're actually taking, and sometimes, most of the coaches that really are not in for sales, because the reality is when you do affiliate with some nutrition company or supplement, they pay you very little commission.
Yeah.
Very little. So the coaches, that really have a good heart, they're going to tell you, what, I actually really do take this one. This is, and the lab sells it only to practitioners or clinics. So I sell them to you because they're not on the market. They're not on Amazon. They're not on, at Walmart or GNC. They actually sell them directly to us, and then we provide it for our customers. Those are usually the best ones because these coaches like you, they're dealing directly with the labs, and you actually know who the organic scientist is, or the whole team in there. So that helps a lot too. You could always go that route, or just go in there and research the good brands out there, but there's a lot of red flags. I heard that one of six supplements on Amazon are knockoffs.
I
That's
believe it.
crazy. That's half. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
playing Russian roulette there.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I definitely do. And just to kind of piggyback on that too, I go even further. I like to go to these supplement companies and see like who their scientific advisory board is, do some research on that. There's been times before where I've followed different doctors and researchers and listened to their podcasts for years, and then they're promoting this product. And then I look at the product and I'm like, oh, this is just a money grab. And then I kind of lost respect for that doctor who's an influencer. And I'm like, oh, this is a monetary gain. So you have to be very selective, and you have to make sure that they're out with the right intentions, because even though they're a doctor or a head researcher or a scientist, people are still out for profit. So you really have to do your due diligence and make sure you're getting the right products, and don't just believe everybody. Even for myself, I always tell my clients, just because I'm telling you this is a product to take, please also do your research. Come back to me. Let me know if you have any questions. Let's troubleshoot this together. Don't take my word for it. I want you to feel fully confident, because you can't always believe everything you hear, even if somebody has all these titles and all these degrees and they're the best doctor. You have to really kind of follow your intuition and do your own research as well too. And also just be your number one advocate for your own health.
Yes, absolutely. And when you look into most of these mega influencers, you can see the patterns. You can see the big voices on health. They might have the biggest followers, like we say, but what they do not have is the actual face-to-face client experience. Most of them are in labs, right? They're doctors, they're chemists, or they're in labs. They really never get to work with clients. They don't have that experience. And of course, when you start looking at the products they're pushing, you could easily research. That's why I tell people, yeah, my opinion is this, but then go and research yourself and then come up with your own conclusion. And that's it. And that's what we want people to do. We want, become a critical thinker. I hear a lot of people, all right, I don't have time to go research myself and come up with, can you just tell me what's better? Okay, my opinion at this moment, XYZ, because things are changing so fast with supplements. One minute I tell you, hey, go with this beautiful brand. It's super clean. It's called Siete. And all of a sudden I'm over here busy in my life. And then a client goes, hey, all right, you told me Siete is good. It's owned by Pepsi. It's crap. Like, when did that happen? We're not on top of these companies, following well, they sold for billions of
They
dollars.
sold recently, yeah.
And now they're starting to come out with the ingredients are changing. I heard, and that's why we have to stay on it. We have to keep that awareness going. We have to be assessing stuff. And what I tell you today could be different tomorrow. So that's why we have to stay on top of it. It's a new world. It's a new modern world. Everything changes really fast. You have to stay on top of it. And that's why I say build a team, follow the right people. Don't go for, oh, this guy's got a lot of followers, I'm going to go with him. Oh, look, he sells this. I'm not going to say brands, but this brand.
Right.
And oh my God, it must be good. Oh, then you see it in the news. Oops. This
Yep.
person got caught with blah, blah, blah. And there we go. We're seeing it a lot. They're getting exposed.
Yeah.
They fall into the trap themselves. And there goes the integrity. You know how much their integrity is worth.
That's
Yeah.
it. Whoever writes the check, that's their integrity.
Yep. That's
Yep.
the crazy thing here. So let's talk about, let's switch it up to health trends that sound revolutionary. Let's talk about that. There's a lot of detox protocols out there, root cause protocols out there. Everyone's catching that. There goes a trend again. That's why I get a little scared when I see everyone saying the root cause. And this is something we were saying many years back, but now it's trendy. So why do you think so many people are, basically just chasing that next protocol instead of mastering the fundamentals?
Yeah, I think sometimes the simplicity of things isn't the sexy thing. When it comes down to just the basics, like how did our ancestors live 100 years ago, isn't really a sexy thing for most people.
Yeah.
It's what's the new trend? What new medications can I get on? How can I get on these new longevity protocols that all these people are trying to sell you? Obviously peptides and different things are a huge market right now for a lot of people. And, I'm kind of torn between it. I kind of am in this camp where I don't think it's fully written there. I think there's some peptides that obviously I think could be really revolutionary for a lot of people, like your BPC 157s and some, kind of immune regulation things like thymosin, alpha 1 and things like that I think could have a lot of merit for obviously soft tissue injuries and gut health and maybe even some autoimmune things. But again, we don't know. It's still really early on. But I think that's the hot thing right now. Most people are looking for fat reduction, but those same people that are looking for fat reduction don't want to eat healthy or go to the gym and start strength training. So it's kind of like everyone's always looked for this magic pill or shortcuts. But as you and I know in life, there's no shortcuts. You have to be consistent. You have to put in the work. Because let's say somebody goes on a GLP or they get on a certain peptide and they lose 40 pounds and then they get off of it and then they go back to their old habits. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to put on those 40 pounds again, maybe plus more. Who knows what damage they did to the metabolism, their hormones. Oh, yeah. They didn't pick any new behaviors up. They didn't start going to the gym. They didn't start eating better. They didn't start cleaning up their nutrition. So I'm not a big advocate in that. Now, if I have somebody that's doing everything perfectly and for some reason they're still not doing or seeing progress, then I'll look out for certain things like maybe hormone optimization. Maybe I'll have them go with their doctor and get a full panel on their hormones. I want to test and see how their thyroid is. As you know, Art, thyroid is super important for your metabolism. So I have a lot of clients, male and female, that maybe are struggling to lose weight, that maybe are having some autoimmune issues. They maybe have some Hashimoto's, maybe they have that hypothyroidism. So little things like that, we can figure out, okay, maybe your thyroid is underactive. Maybe let's figure out, like, are you selenium deficient? Do you need some iodine? Do you need to be eating certain things to make sure that you're not depleting some of those perfect thyroid hormones, right? So having those conversations with people, I think, is a lot more important than just get on this peptide or get on this pill and not really fix all the other stuff, because I just feel like you'll always be running backwards.
Yeah, and there is good labs out there that unfortunately you have to go deeper with labs, because just the basic plasma blood work is not going to cut it. You have to go deeper to find out, like you said, they are usually depleted in either selenium, copper, you name it. When you get that micronutrient test and you see, oh wow, look at this, and you could get to share it with the client right there. Both of you are looking at it like, oh, that makes sense. Wow, you're really. Now let's figure out why are you losing all this magnesium or whatever it is, right? And then you fix that, and it's going to change your immune system for the better, because now you're actually, and that is real root cause there, right? Now you're really tackling what that individual is lacking, not what, oh, well, according to my trendy protocol, we all have to take more iron.
Right.
How do you know that?
Right.
We all need more iron. You don't know that until you go deep, and it starts with questions. That's great.
And I think that's an important thing. And I always tell people, like, my scope of practice, right? I'm an advocate for you, but I'm not a physician. I'm not a doctor. These are just things I want you to bring up to your doctor, and I can work with your doctor in conjunction to make sure you're getting the right panels. You're getting the right cholesterol, right? We're not just checking for your standard cholesterol panel. We're looking a little deeper. What's the particle count? How are your arteries? Are they inflamed? Are there certain things you should be looking at to improve your overall optimization? Are you checking thyroid antibodies? Are you just checking, your T4 and your T3 and all that kind of stuff that's more surface level? But then once you look deeper under the hood, you start to find things that you really want to work on and really optimize your health. And I really think thyroid health is a real big epidemic. I really feel that most people have some sort of underlying thyroid issue. And I think it's a lot to do with environmental toxins and a lot of the things that they're exposed to, whether it be women spraying fragrances right on their thyroid, whether it be cleaning with certain chemicals and being exposed to that. Stress, as we know, is a huge one. Nervous system dysregulation causes a lot of issues in the immune system, in the body, and as well as the thyroid. So there's a lot of things that I think people don't know, but they just feel like this is their norm, that they can feel so much better if they get the right testing done and work with a really good practitioner.
Yes. The good testing, a good practitioner is going to be part of your team, because what we want for people is for them to actually end up being, the last coach is themselves. The CEO of their own health is themselves eventually. And you can still keep your team around. You can still call Justin. Hey, Justin, I want some advice on this and that. You have a team. And that's what we were meant to do, is like have a team for when you do need help or you're confused with something. But ultimately, you are your own best coach, because you're going to know how you feel. Absolutely. Right? And you got to return into that. There is a lot of branches. Like, you got to take it easy with it. Don't stress out when you're starting to make changes, because confusion comes back again. So it has to be one thing at a time. What are you going to get started first? Is it circadian rhythms? How are you sleeping? I love that one. Is it the water intake? What kind of water are you really drinking? Is it clean water, or is it bottled waters from Costco or whatever you're getting it from?
Right.
The water, the air quality, all that stuff. And a lot of these things are free. So
Yes.
you start first. If you ask me, my opinion is I always start with the water, and I always see most of the time people are not drinking clean water. I'm not talking volume. I'm talking about the quality of water. They're not. And that's
Chlorine and
the
different
first
things
thing
in
that
there.
has to change
Yeah.
because we're 70 to 80% water. Then you could go into all the deficiencies, the lab tests. You're going to see, oh my gosh, here we go. And you get excited because you're like, oh my God, we're actually on a good path for you. Have you ever done, and you'll ask them, right? Has anyone told you this? No. Did your doctor ever? No. Okay, there we go. We're in a good path. We're gonna get, and it's exciting when you're seeing people now finally transforming, right?
100%. Yeah, and they really light up too about it as well because now they start to feel a lot better. And that's a great point you say. Anytime I get on a coaching call, at least for the first time with a client, they come to me with like 4 or 5 different goals. And I always tell them, I say, well, let's start with one goal, right? So what's our weekly goal? This is a goal that we want to work on until the next time I see you, whether it's a week or 2 weeks. We'll come back, we'll see if we accomplish that goal, we feel confident with that goal, and then we can move on to that second goal. But if you come in with too many goals, as you know, you're not prioritizing one thing, you're not going to be able to accomplish it because you got 4 or 5 different things you're trying to do, and it just never works. So yeah, that's a really good point.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things that it's all about the shortcut. I'm sorry, it's all about the shortcut mindset. Like they want to get things fast, like scrolling. We want information fast, and so I get it. It's this modern system that we're in, but you have to step back. And that's why I talk about like the 7 C's that I share. Longevity. The 7 C's of longevity is the first one is calm. Calm down. Calm that nervous system down so that you're able to think better and respond instead of being so reactive with trends. Like, I'm gonna get that, and I'm gonna get this, and I'm gonna get that right away online. Dude, it's like you're on Amazon with a bunch of stuff in the cart, and you're
so impulsive.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why people come to you is they want to do 5 things at the same time. Hold on here. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It makes sense. It's pretty much destroying us. So let me ask you this. As a practitioner working daily, again, you're always with people one-on-one. You just got off work, right? You're with clients. With coaches like yourself, what do you see the public doing in gyms, for example, that maybe they shouldn't be doing? And what are the biggest misconceptions that they're following in health right now? Talking about biohacks or anything like that. What do you see at the gyms?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the stuff in the gym is, a lot of clients will follow things on Instagram or they'll do things maybe a little too quick because they saw somebody that has been working out for 20 years and they look so good and they're posting this thing, but they're not quite ready to progress to that exercise. So there's a lot more, likelihood of risk for them to get injured. And as you know, as trainers, we have to make sure that we modify exercises for them at their given time and then slowly scale them up and progress them properly. But they want to go from like 0 to 60 real quick. And you just see bad form, maybe too much weight. That same person will get injured. They'll be sidelined for, 3 to 6 months. And then they're just going backwards. Now they have an injury they have to work around. So I think for me, and this might be biased, but I feel like if you're new to the gym, spending at least 3 to 6 months with a trainer is probably the best investment you can ever make. Because not only are you going to learn how to use your body in space in the gym, you're also going to get stronger. You're going to build up a lot of education and information on how to do things properly that's going to carry over into your real world. And most of my clients, Art, that I work with are usually around 45 and up. So I work with a lot of older clients too that are just looking to do simple things like get out of a chair when they're 80 to stand up with no pain. Or I'm looking to have clients walk upstairs with not having knee issues, or bend down and kneel down and play with their grandchildren, or reach the top shelf without having a shoulder impingement. So there's little things that I think maybe aren't flashy, but if done right are going to help provide more muscle and stability within the body, that over time you'll be able to do those flashy things if needed. But a lot of those flashy things that you see on Instagram, are just simply that. They're just flashy things. It's kind of like going back to your overall health. The basic stuff is the stuff you want to do, but you want to do it properly. And if you have a trainer in your area, your community, same thing, we research supplements, like research your trainers. Find a really good, high quality trainer, pay what they charge, because I'll tell you what, it'll be the best investment you make.
Absolutely. And like you said, the principles have to be established first. They've stood the test of time. For people, every time when they start with good foundational movements, that's going to help. Most of my audience is 40 plus, women and some men, but they deserve to start at their level, at their season in their life, not getting a 40 plus lady going into a workout for an 18-year-old girl that's going to do some Olympic training or something. I know, looks cool and all that, but let's start from scratch. Here we go. This is your body. This is how you move. And you can see it even if you're a trainer, even if you have 20, 30 years as a trainer, exercise physiology expert, you still don't see what the other person that's evaluating you can see. For example, you put me through a kickboxing class,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
you saw
we did
my
kickboxing.
left hip couldn't rotate, and I knew that because I'm in pain. But other people that are still not in the pain with the hip, they might not notice that their hip is not rotating correctly. And you caught it, you catch it, say, hey, we got to work on that, because obviously if it's not rotating, there's something, your gate's off, or we got some imbalance there with muscle, your butt, whatever. But right away I told you, oh man, I'm in pain every day, dude. That's my hip. So eventually, of course, people already know I had hip surgery and still recovering. I'm 6 weeks in. I don't have the sharp pain down my butt, which is great.
Yeah, that's
But I
awesome.
do have pains in, of course, the scar tissue. I feel like I got shot in the ass. Tell you, it hurts still. So I have to sit on a cushion still. It's going to be probably a couple more months before I can start jogging, but I'm going to be pain free. But see, these are things that the person can't see it themselves until somebody actually evaluates you. Hey, did you notice your shoulder, one shoulder dips on this side? No, I did not. Yep. You got, look at your wing back here sticking out. No way. So yeah, it's awesome to have someone evaluate you and then coach you through at least a month, right? At least give the coach a month.
Yeah, it's super important. I mean, athletes have trainers, right, and coaches. And I think the biggest thing, like you mentioned, is a lot of times having that second set of eyes for what you might think is normal is actually bad posture, or you might not be able to see your imbalances because to you, you've been walking that body for 40 years. It's just normal. But it's not an efficient way to move in that exercise, right? So once you have a second set of eyes looking at you and being able to coach and cue you into the right position, that's tremendous as well too. And it's also going to help you get better results, but prevent future injury from happening, because you feel like it's good, but then you get out there and you're like, oh man, I tore my hamstring, or I messed up my shoulder, and you could have just had a second set of eyes helping you out with something like that. So I think, a couple months kind of working with a trainer. And a lot of clients that end up starting with somebody, I can speak to my case, they end up wanting to continue because now they don't want to go back to not having it. They almost get used to this luxury working with a trainer, and they're like, man, I'm so used to working with you, I couldn't see myself going back. And we just keep scaling up the workouts and keep making the workouts more and more challenging for them so they can continue to see more and more progress.
Yeah, you develop a very strong relationship. I've noticed that with the client, and you become friends, advisors, sometimes a little bit of psychologist on the side.
100%. 100%.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, it's a great experience once you're doing that. Like I say, we all need coaches, whether it's fitness, whether it's life coaches that are very popular now, and because you see the difference in people. And I talk a lot about adjusting, adapting as you age with intention, as I call it, right? And I believe it's crucial to really stay focused on that longevity. So let me ask you, what are you doing personally, since you are roughly in your 30s now? What are you doing to prepare for your future health?
Yes, that's a great question, Art. So obviously for me, I always get my workouts in, it's a form of therapy for me. It's obviously great for the body, but it's really important for my mind, especially being so busy with clients daily. You can't forget about yourself. I'm a big proponent in sauna. I try to sauna at least 5 days a week. We know obviously there's a lot of data and science behind, the benefits of sauna. And then I just try to work on nervous system regulation. I truly believe that if your nervous system isn't optimized or you're not in a good state most of the time, it's hard to achieve optimal health. So regulating your nervous system, doing simple things like, grounding yourself, whether it's in grass, barefoot, or in the sand, simply doing some different type of breath work. There's thousands of different type of breath work you can follow. You can meditate, you can simply hum and do different type of humming, activating your vagus nerve in different ways. They sell, devices that you can, start using to activate your nervous system. You can do cold exposure if that's something that you feel comfortable with and you don't really have a thyroid issue. I think cold exposure would be good for a lot of people. Women tend to sometimes feel like cold exposure isn't fantastic, but again, it's individualized and you can kind of work that with your doctor. But for me, that's my number one thing is nervous system regulation. I've always kind of been more of a anxious person since I was a kid. So I always kind of have that lingering amount of anxiety throughout the day. And I find that if I don't regulate my nervous system, I'm just kind of a wreck. So continuing to find those things that I can work with, practicing gratitude, doing yoga, and just being service for my clients. I feel like my profession, acting in service through what I do, is also another way that I stay grateful and able to do what I do. And I want to do it for the next, 30, 40 years, as long as I can, being able to work with clients in person.
Yeah, and you mentioned, of course, this is what you do on a weekly basis. Now, are you very anal on this, or do you understand you're going to skip something sometimes? Or does that kind of tick you off, or do you try to keep calm and just say, okay, I'm going to go with the flow this week? How do you handle the whole week? Because I know life happens.
Right. No, 100%. Yeah, it's, I'll be honest, I'm a very regimented person. So I do find sometimes that I like to do the same things. I like to have the same routine. I always joke with my clients and people that know me. I tell them I would be the worst criminal because I do the same things all the time. So you could track me very easily. But I will say though, Art, you do have to definitely go with the flow and not be a hard critic on yourself, because again, if you do that, it's kind of like counterintuitive. So if you have something bad for dinner, or you went out with your spouse and you went to a party and you ate something, don't kick yourself, and put yourself down. Just let yourself know that tomorrow's a new day and you're going to get back to it. You're going to get back to your workouts. You're going to exercise. If you're traveling and you're on vacation and maybe you're not able to get to the gym, like you mostly would, well, then appreciate the things that you are able to do, right? You're out there walking more. You're spending more time with a loved one. A lot of those things have just as much benefit as the workout would, maybe if more. And then when you come back from your vacation, then you get back to your routine. So I think it's very important to keep an open mind and to be very good to yourself and to not be hard on yourself, because also your thoughts and what you tell yourself, I think, manifest and magnify into your physiology. So you have to definitely be your number one advocate and your biggest cheerleader. And if you fall off the rails sometimes, or you make a left when you should have made a right, just coach yourself back up and tell yourself you're going to get back on your 2 feet and you get back after it.
Yeah, I think so. Especially when you go on vacation, it's easy to fall out, and then you just got to return back to the basics.
Yeah.
But, still people, again, there's people that haven't even started with great habits or some good habits. So for those people who, again, are overwhelmed and hear all this noise, where would you have them start first?
I would have them first just kind of take an inventory of what they're currently at. So if I have somebody that's like always sedentary and they just want to know where to start, I would first tell them to just walk more, just to get up and move their body more, right? And it could be something as simple as
Absolutely.
Maybe get up and stretch and have a 5-minute stretch routine, or maybe, walk, half a mile, or just move the body more. And again, make it realistic. Like, you're not going to go from not doing anything to get 10,000 steps a day. That's not going to be realistic for someone. But maybe them moving their body, stretching their legs, maybe going for a walk with a friend for 30 minutes, things that they realistically feel they can do at their current fitness level sets the course for their fitness journey, where month over month they'll start to see slow progressions. That's the number one thing I do. And then also what I would look to is to clean up their nutrition, because whatever you consume into your body has a direct effect on your biology. So if you can start cleaning things up and finding things that you can improve on, whether it be maybe having less processed foods, maybe lowering your sugars, or having your carbs at a certain time where you're going to be more active, These certain things are going to be really important. Maybe focus on, just drinking more water, like you mentioned, Art. Like, you'd be surprised how many people are dehydrated and they don't even know it. And then how about your water quality, right? So I think the number one thing is just move a little bit more than you do. And then once you move a little bit more than you do, your metabolism starts firing, your body starts to get used to what it's supposed to do, and then you kind of go from there.
Yep, you're right. I mean, simple habits that actually they outperform expensive protocols. People want to go, okay, I'm starting new, or I have not done any workouts in a long time. My nutrition would supplement. I'm holding off for 2 weeks because I'm gonna get a big check in 2 weeks. So I'm not doing it. No, hold on here. Stop worrying about expensive protocols or supplements or a big gym membership is going to cost you a lot of money right off the top. Start with the simple things. And you mentioned walking. That's the first one you should start doing. Walking, because you're, like you said, moving the body. It's already going to bring that a better energy, a better mood.
Yes,
right?
100%.
And that's what we got to get to. Like, how do I break out of this sedentary life? Like, I don't want to do anything. I feel tired. I don't feel like getting up. So just breaking through that first part, standing up, putting the shoes on, and then walking outside. The first few steps, it's already going to start clicking. Like, the sun's already hitting you. You're breathing the air. Depends where you're at, of course, but
right.
Different topic, right?
Air quality,
But
yeah.
already that's already the movement. And there you go. It starts kicking in like, oh my, and then you come back 30 minutes later. I feel great. I got to do this again tomorrow. Sometimes just one little thing like that, the walking really starts the momentum. And I don't know, hide the remote somewhere and don't find it for the next few days, because it's going to take breaking bad habits, of course, right?
Yeah, no, walking is so powerful. And I'm even just speaking to myself, like having an anxious background, like for me, whenever I go for a walk, it just helps me so much, like calm my anxiety.
Yeah.
And then I come back from my walk and I'm like, what was I anxious about? So I think walking's is really good if anybody that's listening to this also deals with any kind of anxiety and just wants to lift their mood. Walking for like anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes or whatever you can for your fitness level, your mood is just going to like spontaneously just feel better. So it's a good way to start your day, end your day, anytime you can throughout the day, just go for a little walk.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That helps so much. It's helped me. I've been there. I was there just recently. I was down and out, hip surgery, getting up, even with so much pain. I had to get up because I'm like, first thing I think of is, I don't want to fuse my hip. I want to move. I want to get that hip, circulation in there. I want to get some blood flow in there. I need to move. So I was moving a lot throughout the day, even hurting badly. I still grabbed that walker and moved. And then I went with a cane. And then I eventually walked with pain, with just myself, no cane. And every day, nonstop. It's just something you got to really put in your head that you need to move to thrive, basically. Now, let me ask you one last thing here. What do you tell someone who's tired of everything? Well, they say, here's one of the things they say. They say, I tried everything, Justin. I don't know if I even want to continue. I've tried everything. It doesn't work. What do you tell them?
First for me, I sympathize with them and I let them know, like, I totally understand how you feel. I'd feel the same way if I tried everything and nothing worked. And it's definitely discouraging. But what I would ask them is, like, I want to kind of hear from them, like what they tried, just to kind of see if they tried things that actually do work. There's some misinformation there. They tried things, but they didn't do it the right way, so it was inefficient. They didn't get a positive outcome that they wanted. And then I asked them if they'd be willing to try some new things with my guidance and with my support, because again, doing something on your own might not be as successful as doing something with a coach that has experience doing that with clients, right? And I think once you build rapport and you show people that you truly, genuinely care about their health outcomes, they're willing to put their best foot forward. And now that they have someone to guide them and support them that whole way through, as you know, Art, they're going to be a lot more successful with that support, with the resources you provide them. And then also to be able to shift through some of that BS and let them know that some of the stuff that they think that's going to work is not actually going to work. Let's not waste time there. And let's put more of our eggs in this basket and really focus on this outcome. And kind of steer them away from that and kind of steer them clear and kind of keep them on the path that we know is going to work for them. So we get a lot of that, especially when people first meet with me. And then once they try it again, doing it the right way, it's just like doing any exercise. A client can do a squat And we know they can do it 10, 12, 20,000 different ways. But then when they do a squat with somebody that actually knows what they're doing and they actually feel the right muscles and they're intentional about engaging the right muscles, well, now over time, they're going to start developing the right muscles, doing that same exercise that they did on their own 6 months ago, not results. So I applied that same kind of mindset when it comes to health coaching. It's just like, okay, we tried it once. Are we willing to try again with my support, with my help? And hopefully we can get a better outcome.
Yeah. And then you'll hear them saying, hey, I never tried that before.
Yeah,
Aha!
exactly.
I was going to say I told you, but I wanted you to just experience it yourself. Exactly.
100%.
There you go.
100%.
All right, let's switch it up. We're going to go into our intentional rapid fire questions for you. We want to see how Justin thinks. So we're going to give you a quick questions, and then you just answer really quick without thinking about it too much. So here we go. The first one. What do you prefer? Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
Okay.
Yes.
Grounding or ice baths?
Grounding.
Okay, it's easier as well.
Yeah.
Most overrated health trend?
Personally, I think cold plunging.
Okay.
I think that's an overrated one for me. Yeah.
All right. And elaborate on that one.
Yeah. So I just think that the benefits that a lot of people seek aren't so much impacting their health as much as they think it would be. I think there's a lot of things that will help improve their mood and maybe lower inflammation than like really jacking up their nervous system and hopping into a really ice cold, bath. I think there's more harm than good long term. And there's other things that I think would be more efficient and more advantageous to try.
Yeah. And I see it depends on the individual and depends also on female and male. I've seen studies as well. So
Yeah.
it just depends. So that's why it's one of those, you're going to be better off with doing grounding, for example.
Yeah, totally.
So way better off because that's natural.
Yeah.
It was already there.
Yeah.
So most underrated health habit would be that. Okay. Now, best investment you've made in your health.
Wow. That's a great question, Art. Man, I think for me, I think just it's so tough, but because it's again, it's habits for me. So it's like habit stacking. So the habits I stack, I think overall accumulate to the overall health. But I think for me, if I had to choose one, it's just kind of constantly walking and moving, being active, I think is the biggest thing. Because like I said, it's obviously going to have a physical benefit, but then obviously the positive mental benefits that I get for it also in turn positively affect my physical. So I think if I had to choose one thing, if I can just move more and walk daily, I think it's overall going to help blood sugar levels, inflammation, mood, nervous system. Like I get so many benefits from one modality that I think that's the best thing.
Yeah. And again, it's free. And
Yep.
like you say, you get, over 10 benefits from that. Plus you're killing like 3 birds with one stone because you're getting, well, if it's daytime, you're getting sunlight, you're getting fresh air. And if you touch a tree along the way, you're grounding even with your hands. Yes, there's a lot of benefits with that. So I think that's one of the biggest, it's a time investment. It doesn't cost you money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the things, longevity investment.
Most of the things like you mentioned that are positively affecting your overall health outcomes are really free. You don't need to invest a lot of money. It's just more time and you're going to get so much more return out of these other things that people try to sell you.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to ask you a surprise question here. What's a health opinion you hold that would make the internet angry?
I would say most people don't need to take the medications that they take. I think a lot of people are overprescribed. And I think a lot of people, if they invested in their mental and physical health, that being exercise, proper nutrition, grounding, spirituality, just regulating the nervous system, I think they wouldn't need to take a lot of their pharmaceuticals, right? Obviously, if you have certain health conditions, you want to stay on those, take those medications. But I think a lot of people are overprescribed on a whole bunch of different medications that they don't need to be. That's one of the first things when I do an intake with a client that comes in first time and we do like a PAR-Q and we go over a lot of questions and I ask them. Most of my clients, like I said, are in their 40s, 50s, 60s. A lot of them are on a lot of multiple medications, right? And I ask them, the reasons why they're on it and they just say, I don't know, my doctor put me on them. And again, the medical system, doctors, physicians, that's their expertise. That's what they went to school for. They don't have the experience in all the other stuff that we're talking about, right? And I think until now, a lot of physicians are kind of looking into those things and are more open-minded. But I think a lot of people can optimize their health and be a lot healthier without that stuff. Because as you and I both know, a lot of those medications that they're on also come with a lot of side effects, also come with depleting a lot of nutrients that a lot of clients need, right? So now you might take a supplement, but now you might be super low in, a magnesium, you might be low in CoQ10. So you're depleting a lot of these key nutrients that your body needs, but you're on this certain medication. So I think for me, in a perfect world, everybody would just not be on a medication, and they would really be focusing on, overall holistic health with proper whole food nutrition and more education, listening to things like on this podcast and educating themselves on different topics. And again, being their own health advocate, maybe pushing back. And if a doctor prescribes a medication, ask them, why am I taking this medication? What's the reason for it? What are we looking to achieve by doing this? Is this something you need to be on long term? What mechanism are we working with in the body to help, deal with this ailment that you may have? And then see what answers they have, right? But if you just simply accept it because they got a degree and they have a certain amount of letters on their t-shirt, I think you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, and it's very different. Like you said, preventive health is way different than medical health. Of course, it's totally different. And my story with cardiologist about 5 years ago, he told me, "Hey, you got atrial fibrillation," and I go, "Yeah, the palpitations. That's why I'm here. But you know what? I just want to see my heart. I just want to do a test. It came out great. Everything looked great. My heart, there was no problems with it, and I kind of figured out what was wrong. My thing is, it's a multitude of things that happen before you get palpitations, right?" So he wanted to prescribe me for life on all kinds of medication, blood thinners, this and that. "Why are you doing that?" And he goes, "Well, generally everyone that gets AFib will never get out of it. So we'll need to give you beta blockers, blood thinners. I forgot the other ones, but I go, "No, you're not. Here's what I'm going to do." Okay. So, I told him I'm a holistic health coach. My background's Ayurveda. And he goes, "Oh, my wife's an Ayurveda practitioner." "Oh, no way." "Well, there you go. So here's what I'm going to do." And I told him, the list, ashwagandha with the magnesium upgrade, this and that. He goes, yeah, I love ashwagandha. We started talking like just, having a good conversation. And he goes, "All right, cool, Matt. You know what? Keep me posted. Come back in 6 weeks. I'd like to know the outcome, what you get." Sure enough, 6 weeks later, I come back. No AFib, no palpitations, nothing, right? And I did adjustments. It wasn't supplements only, lifestyle changes I did. Okay, I reduced EMFs. I blocked my smart meter in my home. A lot of things. It all depends on your environment as well, right? And I evaluated my environment. Once I saw what was wrong in my environment, I changed things, and then I supplemented, and then I went back to him, and it was all gone. So he wanted to know the protocol, but I told him, "Look, this worked for me. This doesn't mean it's going to work for your other patients, all right? So don't prescribe him that." He started laughing.
Right,
He goes,
right.
I know. I go, "Tell your wife, though. Tell your wife." He goes, "Yeah, I'm actually going to tell her." So that was it. I never got it back. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. I never got the AFib back, and I knew why it came. That's why you have to ask questions. You have a right to ask the doctor questions. "Hey,
Absolutely.
why do you think I need to take it?" "Because everybody else." "But that's everybody else. But me, why do you think I should take it?" You saw my blood work. It's great. My heart looks really good. There's no problems with me. Blah, blah, blah. I understand if someone's really sick and you're worried that they might get a stroke because, they have plaque and all that, but I don't have any of that. So why should I? "Oh, because everyone else does it." Well, I'm not everyone, buddy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And good for you for doing that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's how I think everyone should be the same. You got to
Yeah.
ask the questions like you said.
100%.
Yeah. All right. So one legendary time machine question. We're going to take you back. Let's take you back to Justin when he was 18 years old. Okay. What would be one piece of advice you would tell young Justin, 18 years old?
Yeah, I would tell them to just worry less. Don't compare yourself to others, and just know that your life's journey is different than everyone else. Everyone's here for their own purpose, and don't compare yourself to other people, and don't chase certain things that you think are flashy or you think are social status, things. We've all kind of been there where we want to have certain things for the girls, or we want to have more money because it gives us power. I would just tell them to stay in his lane, follow what he's truly passionate about, and just be very close and love his family. And everything else will kind of fall into it. Keeping an open mind, being nice to others, and just being grateful.
Awesome. Yeah, that's short and powerful. Usually that's what comes out. You have so much experience now. and yet you come back and you tell them simple things, right? Simple things. It's like you don't have to write a book for them. It's simple things that come out.
Really
Yeah.
is.
So
Yeah.
one of one of the things that stands out is that health isn't about suffering from, lack of information. It's suffering from lack of discernment. The fundamentals work. You don't have to spend $1 billion on supplements if you learn the foundations, right? And when you are very confused about that, then that's where I suggest you get a fitness coach or a health coach or both. A lot of us now are, we do multiple disciplines, right? Integration. So you could actually build a good team by aligning yourself with the right person. So
Yeah.
I only hope that in the future, these generations are laughing at us and they're just going, why in the world were these people doing this with this modern health culture that they had in the past? That will mean that, they actually learned, they stepped away from the trends and the consumerism and the reductionist mindset that unfortunately, a lot of health coaches are falling into. And that means they moved into a more transparent lifestyle. They're following real science, and that'll be great for the future. So I hope I'm right that they're going to be laughing at us in the future with all these crazy hacks. I'm not saying every hack is bad.
Right.
There's some good biohacks, but first you got to get in line. First you got to start, like we're talking fundamentals. So that's one thing I'm hoping for. All right, Justin. So let me ask you one last thing. Where can people find you? Website, social media, programs? What coaching opportunities do you have for people?
Yeah, well, so if you're in the Orange County area and you're looking for, a trainer, feel free to reach out to me. My Instagram is probably the best way. It's fitness by Justin with an underscore. Somebody, I guess, took the fitness by Justin, so I had to add the underscore. And then, yeah, my email is just ask. So JUSTASK healthcoaching@gmail.com. So if you don't live in the area and you want to work with me on the health coaching side of things, I'd be more than happy to work with you. And we can kind of talk, build a program. I meet you right where you're at, and we can kind of develop a realistic program that would work with you and help you get healthier. So again, I'm super passionate about this. This is something that I'm going to keep doing, for the rest of my life, God willing. And, I just really appreciate the time to be able to get on here with you, Art, and be able to share some insight.
Yeah, that's great. And for those people that heard Orange County, it's Orange County, California, not Orange County, Florida.
Yes, exactly.
I know there's two.
Yes.
But he's online. And, like I say, if you feel like someone's aligned with you, then there you go. You call them up. Nowadays you could reach people and have a good conversation on Zoom, or it could be a phone call if you're camera shy. But definitely I will leave Justin's information in the comments. Justin, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I know you're busy. Anything else you want to say to our audience before we go?
No, I appreciate it. I hope everybody kind of learned something from this. And like I said, if you're looking to work with me and you have any questions, again, I'm very open-minded. So if you have super detailed questions or something simple, you can just shoot a message through my Instagram. I'll get back to you when I can, and I just want to help you out. And even if you're not looking to work with me long term, Art and I both do this to really help people, give them the right knowledge, be a health advocate to them. So I'm open to just answering any questions you may have. And then for those that really want to take it to the next level, I love to be a part of your health team and really optimize your overall longevity. So yeah, just reach out to me.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Now to our audience, thank you so much for listening. Remember, longevity isn't about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. Live intentionally, age intentionally, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.